I've spent a lot of time on the river lately, and I think Spyderco must have picked up on that because they sent me these two knives to use when I'm down here. They are both from their Salt series, which are knives made to use in or on the water, with steels that are corrosion resistant so they don't rust as fast as other knives. This is the Spyderco Enuff, and this is called Siren. Yesterday I took a day off the farm to go and visit my friend Kalla again. I went there last week as well to pick up this boat. Kalla has a bigger boat so we can test the salt knives on salt water. The first thing we did was to try and get some fish. The knife is developed by a fisherman, and that's probably one of the things he does, catch fish, so we had to try as well. Now what I hadn't told Kalla was that I never get fish. And it's not just that I don't get any, usually when I'm around, none of the people on board get any either. Many years ago when I was a kid, I used to spend my summers at my uncle's house, and he had a boat, and sometimes he would take my cousins and I out on that boat to go fish. And even though they gotten a lot of fish the day before, the moment I set foot on that boat, all the fish were gone. They called me a bad luck charm, and as the years went by, whenever I came for a visit, they'd always have an excuse to not take me out on that boat. But Kalla doesn't know this, and I'm not gonna tell him, because this is the day I turn my luck around. So he started, and apparently for mackerel the thing to use is a black hook, and that's it. No bait of any kind except that hook. So he's gonna fish and control the boat at the same time. And the thing with Kalla is that you can almost not see that he used to be a ballet dancer anymore. Then it was my turn, but before I could commence fishing, I had bear in the air and it was low on battery, so I needed to catch it before it hit the water. I've had some bad luck with drones before and wasn't ready to part with it just yet. And the boat had all kinds of wires and sails and stuff, so I decided to go out in a little one. And even though we killed the engine, we were drifting a little, so it was pretty nerve-wracking for a few seconds there. Thank you very much. Then it was my time to fish. Kalla had snagged all the hooks and all I was left with was this one lure. And I wanted to pimp it up a little, and I had this fruit taffy, so I decided to go with that. Here's how you do it. First you take a bite and eat it. Then you attach the rest to the hook. Then you take another piece and take a bite and attach the rest to the other hook. And so on. It's important to not use the same piece on all hooks, otherwise you won't have any excuse to eat more taffy. Then you snag the lure, and that's the last one, so you decide to make some coffee instead before you cut some rope. This is the Spyderco Enuff with H1 steel and FRN scales. It has a fixed blade and comes with a polymer sheath. Now personally, I'm a pretty fidgety type and not that into fixed blades, but for cutting ropes and stuff like that, I would totally use this. I also like my knives being all black, but I can easily understand why this has a bright yellow handle instead. On a sailboat, you could attach this sheath to a wall with some screws and always have easy access for whenever you want to cut something. And everyone on board would have the opportunity to use it, also in an emergency. I have been out sailing when we had to cut the ropes for the sail, and this knife would really come in handy at that time. Kalle used to have another boat, and once we were out sailing on the Baltic Sea and we suddenly found ourselves in the middle of a storm, rescuers from 2 nations were out searching for us. I got hospitalized, and I think it was about this time of year, because Facebook always reminds me with a newspaper article, and I think this year is a 9-year anniversary from when we survived the perfect storm. I haven't been out at open sea after that, and frankly I don't think I ever will. And this one is called Siren. Designed by a kayak fisherman, it has a LC200N steel, G10 scales, and those scales are coarse. And I guess it should be. Using it in wet conditions, it needs to stick in your hand without slipping. But is it fidgety? I guess it needs some lube, and maybe it'll help when I get the fish guts out of there as well. For work around the farm, I use this shaman every day. I don't think the Siren will replace the shaman for my workhorse on the farm, but I can definitely see myself using this down by the river, or when it's raining heavily, or maybe I should just start using it as my EDC, because I just can't seem to remember to take the knife out of my pants when I wash them, and with the Siren, that wouldn't be a problem. And on that note, we'll end this with Kalle slicing a rope. If you want to support the channel, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Toodaloo!